This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. It's Tuesday today, so that means we're doing a top 5 list, and this is the first in a two-part series about being in a band. Basically, today I'm going to talk about 5 things that I miss about being in a gigging, working band. And next week, it's going to be very definitely 5 things that I don't miss about being in such an outfit. So today, as I say, we're on the positive side of things for today. 5 things that I miss about being in a band. Starting with
the camaraderie.
Yes, the camaraderie. You form a band and you spend a lot of time with your fellow bandmates rehearsing and, getting the set together and gigging and thinking about a band name and, getting photos done for posters and all this kind of stuff, and, you become your own little group of pals. Basically, it's you against the world, and you pile into the transit van and you head off up the motorway to go and, kind of be the wandering minstrels that come into town to entertain the good folk of wherever it is you're entertaining them. So, there is that sense of us versus the world, and, it's what kind of often holds a band together when, the gigs aren't coming in, or you've played a real stinker of a gig and gone down, absolutely atrociously. The kind of thing where usually it's the fault of the agent who's put you into. I remember one band I was in, we were doing all kind of late 80s, early 90s kind of pop rock, hair metal sort of stuff, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, that sort of stuff. And we were booked into this club where the audience were expecting Magic of the Musicals, all kind of Lloyd Webber's greatest hits. And, we absolutely died on our asses that night. But, it's kind of situations like that when the camaraderie, the sort of spirit, the esprit de corps, if you like, really kind of kicks in, and you think, yeah, well, okay, we'll play for our own enjoyment and we'll cheer ourselves up, So that is something that I definitely do miss about being in a band. Next.
Making music.
Yeah, these points are in no particular order, in case you're wondering why making music comes in second on the list. These are just the order that, I wrote them down, really. But making music, and this can be on stage or it can be in a band practice or whatever, you just get those moments when the whole thing becomes bigger than the sum of its parts, when you become one entity, when, there's that eye contact and that telepathy going on, and, just everything just slots together. It's a well-oiled machine. And, those moments like that, I suppose it depends on the calibre of the band that you're in, but when they do happen, it is a little bit of magic. You feel like you're part of something special, and it is, as I say, a little bit dispiriting when you have that moment on stage and everything is just, kind of motoring along and hanging together nicely, and, the audience are completely unresponsive and don't give a flying damn about what you're doing. But, it does happen, and even if it's only you that enjoy it in the band, it's still, a good thing to experience, and I definitely miss that. Next.
The buzz of performing.
The buzz of performing, yes. I almost kind of said the smell of the grease paint there, but I've never been in a Kiss tribute band. It's just that kind of, those really great gigs where, the audience are absolutely loving you, and, and it's all, as I say, you're having that magical moment when the band is a well-oiled, cohesive unit and everything's ticking along beautifully, and the audience are loving it, and the cheers and the rapturous applause, and the dance floor is full, and all of that. It's a boost to the ego. I won't deny it. It is something that is a fantastic experience to have. And, it must be, I've never been in any big name bands or anything like that, but those kind of gigs where all you're doing is entertaining the people who have turned up, there. They haven't turned up to see you, they've just turned up because that is their local venue, usually their local social club where they go every Saturday night. And, they'll see a good band, they'll see, some indifferent bands. So, they haven't come specifically to see you, but when they do react like that, that must be exactly what it's like, if you are in a big name band and the audience are definitely your audience and they love you before you've even played a note. It's a fantastic buzz, that, when you have those kind of gigs, and I do miss it. So, there you go, the buzzer performing. Next.
Band practice and jamming.
Yes, band practices and jamming. I used to be in a band back in the 90s where Thursday night was our band practice night, and it was a night out as much as anything else, because we'd go along and we'd run through the set and we'd try out some new material, because I think it's even if you are, kind of getting gigs in the book regularly, you don't want to be playing the same set over and over again. You want to be constantly evaluating, does that song, is it earning its keep? Is it kind of continually getting good reactions from audiences, or is it starting to sound a little bit dated and a little bit stale? So you're always thinking about new stuff. And, you're jamming, and again, this is, as I say, when that magic can happen where you are, the band become the whole cohesive, well-oiled machine and all that sort of stuff that I was talking about earlier. That's just as likely to happen in the practice room as it is in, on stage. And I used to love that. I used to love going along for the practice and just, these extended jams, where usually because we hadn't bothered rehearsing an ending, so the song just kind of, okay, bit of eye contact going on, how are we going to end this, and keep the solo going, and then just that whole sort of jamming with other musicians, that spontaneity is something that I really, really used to enjoy. I try and recreate it as much as I can now when I'm doing the jams and stuff that I do for guitar demos and stuff like that, but it's never quite the same as playing a guitar lick and then having the drummer react to that guitar lick that you've played, by kind of playing something that's rhythmically the same. I have been known to kind of go back into my recordings and doctor the drum parts to make it sound like the drummer is doing that, or any of the other parts in the band, any of the other instruments, that can sort of react to each other. That's great when that happens. Just that magic spontaneity that comes from jamming, and definitely something that I miss. Next,
the attention. The
attention. Indeed, this goes kind of hand in hand with, the buzz of performing, but, the attention you get from the audience and from, even from people who are, not at your gigs, I remember Brian Johnson saying that, when he was in his early bands and the band van would kind of come into the street to pick him up to take him to a gig, and he'd kind of saunter out of the house and the neighbours were all looking, oh, there's Brian, he's going off to be a rock star again, he's going off to play his rock and roll music. And you were somebody, you were the bloke in the town or in the street that was, in a rock and roll band. And that made you somebody, that made you just that little bit, perhaps, I might be imagining this, but perhaps it made you a little cut above, the people whose hobbies were, I don't know, gardening or, doing jigsaw puzzles. You just had that little extra spark about you, and there's a guy on the circuit round here, as who's been playing many years, Graham Russell, fantastic guitar player, and he is very definitely the somebody in this part of the world. Graham is a fantastic guitar player and a really nice bloke as well. I've met him a few times and had a pint with him and what have you. Really nice bloke, but he's definitely he walks into the room and the other musicians that are in there, because it tend to be musicians who turn up to his gigs, look around and think, there's Graham, and he is something of a somebody in these parts. And when you're in a band, if you're any good at it and you're getting gigs and you're successful, then that kind of does come with it. You are something of a somebody, you get attention, and that was something that was always enjoyable, and I must admit I do kind of miss that a little bit. So there you go, folks. There are 5 things that I miss about being in a touring, well, not so much touring, but a working, gigging band. And, I've experienced them all, and it's like I've ticked those boxes and done all of that. It would be nice to go back to it, but as you'll see next week, there are, some downsides to it as well. The 5 things that I don't miss about being in a band, and we're going to cover those next week, but that is a story for another day. And that's pretty much the video for today, folks. I hope you found it relatively entertaining, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. Why not drop me a like while you're at it? Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 p.m. UK time, where we drink beer and talk about music and guitars. Great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.